I just want to make sure my audio is working.
Yep, sound good.
Yep, I can
Thank
hear
you,
you.
Sean.
Happy New Year, all.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to y'all.
Good evening, everyone. It looks like we have a quorum. I think we'll be close enough. We could probably start just to be prompt. So, good evening. It is, wow, this is the January 2024 meeting of ANC 1C. Welcome. Happy New Year to everyone. Hope you're doing well. So we don't have a super deep agenda tonight, so I think we can have a pretty efficient meeting. But in any case, let's just begin with brief introductions. Let's go in reverse numerical order in case Commissioner Dixon's able to come. So I guess that means once you know, well, I guess the two ends are not here right now. So either way, but we'll start with you, Commissioner Shapiro, once you wait.
There we go. Happy New Year, everybody. Don't have a whole lot to report from down in the southwest
Just
corner.
quick introduction. Just quick introduction.
Oh, I'm sorry, Barney Shapiro. ANC 1C08, which is the southwest corner, 16th Street, down to Florida, over to Champlain, up to just before you get to Calorama. And we really don't have, we're very quiet in December around here.
Commissioner Jake Falaskini, 1C07, the area between 17th and 18th, from roughly Columbia down to Florida with some jigs and jags.
Hi, Linda Laughlin, northeast corner of Adams Morgan, the Linear Heights side. Happy New Year.
Hi, this is Commissioner Stevens with 1C05. So that's Columbia Road to Ontario, to the little piece of 18th, to Harvard, and then all the way to Adams Mill.
Hello, Happy New Year. Commissioner Joe Van Wy, 1C04. We're the sort of northwest corner of the ANC, 18th Columbia, northwest of that, up Adams Mill.
I'm Peter Wood, 1C03. It's 18th to 19th Biltmore to Wyoming. That one's easy to describe.
And I think I'm last, Daniel Michelson Horowitz, 1C01. I am the southern tip of the neighborhood between Wyoming and Florida, roughly from 18th to Columbia and Connecticut.
Thanks. So I guess one thing we do need to officially do before commencing the meeting is elect a chair. Every commission needs to every year just kind of go over. We've discussed this among ourselves that we unanimously want to continue to do things the way they are. So if anyone would like to nominate me, feel free. Otherwise, I'll do it myself.
I nominate Peter Wood as chair.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Honored, looking forward to another year of work. So we'll continue off slate of officers and committee assignments, similar, keep things the exact same. So we'll just kind of keep it as a bulk, which is, okay, I should remember this, but I might mess it up. The officers are Vice Chair Commissioner Van Wy, the Secretary Commissioner Shapiro, or Commissioner Falskini, Treasurer Commissioner Shapiro, the committee chairs Commissioner Laughlin for PSC, Commissioner Dixon for PZT, and Commissioner Falskini for ABC, and the same committee assignments as we've had the last 4 or 5 months, something like that. Can I get a second? I'll make that motion.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Oh, and Commissioner Laughlin continuing as the rep for the bit. Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes unanimously. So we're ready to continue. Now let's go to officers' reports. There's a brief chair's report. There's not a ton. The holidays was a nice quick bit of respite, I guess, although I was still busy. But I think the main things, one I'll go into later in the meeting because it's an agenda item that relates to the potential extension of the intern. Basically, trying to make it so that we can move our website into a better place. Hopefully that will be the time, or this will be the year that happens. We attempted to get some funds for last year. It's going to reattempt this year, but more on that when it's appropriate. And then on top of that, well, yeah, there's a couple of agenda items that we'll discuss, like the schedule for 2023 or 2024. I didn't put in the consent agenda just because I have a couple of questions I want to raise to everyone about what we should do specifically. But for the most part, that's the goal, as well as just trying to continue to make our meetings as efficient and inclusive as possible, an important balance. One thing that I've noticed, I sometimes will try to look at other commissions around the city to see who does things that work well. I think we could probably use the consent agenda a little bit more, just because we have a lot of items that come unanimously from committee. Also, it just takes one commissioner to say, hey, I don't want this on the consent agenda. So for the sake of efficiency, going forward, I'm going to try to do that a little bit more. I didn't put a ton of stuff on tonight just to give us a transition, but in the future, I think that we can try that out just because it's a way to keep meetings from being too long, and it's pretty easy to bring things out for discussion, with the exception if an item seems like it was unanimous from a committee, but still might have, warrant a lot of public input or be particularly divisive or controversial or attention grabbing. Probably going to keep that as agenda item outside of the consent agenda, but just a thought. Commissioner Laughlin.
Commissioner Wood, could you explain a bit more what do you mean by going by the consent agenda? I'm still learning the rules of this and just want to understand what it means.
So, I mean, it's like a mechanism within Robert's rules. If I'm not mistaken, I think that ANC wants to actually put it explicitly in their bylaws or passed a resolution or something like 5 years ago or something, making it so that it was kind of more actively known that it's something that could be done. I don't know the specifics, but regardless, I know that we at this point can have in a consent agenda, excuse me, in one seat to where, as we've all done the past year plus, that a bunch of items that we just vote as a unison block of items, and there's no discussion on those items, but if any single commissioner wants, it can be pulled off and put on the regular agenda.
And these would be items that would come out of the committees, and if they came unanimously from the committee, then
I mean, it just kind of, I mean, it's not like an official policy, just because the chair is the person who, for each committee or the commission, puts the agenda. It's just kind of an informal approach I was hoping to utilize more, just because it's something that we can do. And looking in the past year, there's a bunch of items where we didn't discuss it at all. It was unanimous votes. We can put it on, and if anyone has any issue, or if someone, excuse me, in the public comments, for example, before we start the agendas, consent and regular, still has an opportunity for someone to say, hey, I saw this is on the consent agenda. I'd still like it to be discussed. Pretty easy avenue to be able to undo that. But
Okay.
err on the side of efficiency, and we can take modifications where necessary. So
I-
if anyone has serious issues with that, we can discuss that elsewhere as well. But that was just kind of an idea of mine, seeing that it's used around the city and can make our meetings even a little bit more.
I think people get scared of consent agendas because that sometimes they're afraid to say, can we take this off the consent agenda? Because it almost implies that they're in opposition to it. Whereas it just might want to be that they want to discuss it. You know, it just, yeah. So I think we all need to be aware of that, is that asking for something to come off the consent agenda doesn't mean that you're in opposition to whatever that proposal was. It just means you think it's worthy of a discussion.
No, that's a very good point, just because by abiding with Robert's rules, consent agendas don't get discussed. So that allows that. And, anyone's allowed to disagree or want to, propose amendments, modifications, delaying it a month plus or whatever. So that's a good point to raise. That's all for chair announcements. Not so much an announcement, but is just kind of a discussion. Vice Chair Van Wy, you have any announcements?
No, like you said, December was fairly quiet. So hope everyone had a restful holiday, and I will pass over to back to you, Commissioner or Chair.
Thanks. Let's go to, doesn't really matter, Treasurer Shapiro, Treasurer's report.
Okay. I'm the longest one. Mine, I don't know that. Okay. I don't know whether you all have checked these, but everybody had. I sent out the first quarter report. Our expenses, we've kept our expenses down. We're being appropriate government, in terms of what we're not wasting money. Well, we actually are wasting a little bit of money, but we got to find a workaround for that. The amount of money we have left, if you look at it, we are down, but we down to about $3,600 in the bank. No, it's actually $2,300 is the book balance, regardless of what's in the bank, because there are outstanding checks that haven't hit the bank yet. We still have significant sums owed us from the office of the ANC. We continue to try to work with them to try to get our money. They changed the rules significantly from prior years, and they changed them in the middle of this year, twice actually. But I think we're getting close. We do have sufficient sums to continue operations without anything coming in for another about 3 months. Okay. The one issue that you'll note there, the expense to the postmaster, that's for our PO box. I'd love to. I only pay 1/2 a year because I'd love to find a workaround. There is, in the last year, have there been 20 pieces of mail? Maybe. Of the 20 pieces of mail, very, very few are, anything other than, spam, going, mail spam. I'd love to find a workaround. It could be that each year the chairman, the secretary, the vice chair becomes the recipient. That becomes our snail mail address. Or we can also try talking to the office of ANC about, setting up a post box system. That would be, I think that would be a good way to go for the office of ANC. I don't know that they're willing to do that. So I think at some point in the next few months, we'll talk about the alternatives. I'll ask the office of ANC if they'd be willing to be a recipient for our mail. There may be other ANCs that have this. Peter, as you talk to other people, I know a lot of ANCs that have offices. We don't have one. We don't want one. I think that's a good idea. I don't think we need one. If a lot of the ANCs have PO boxes that they're paying, it's a logical money-saving device for the ANCs, for the office ANC to handle that, and then just mail it out using their own budget to the actual president. All right, the second thing on is we do need to actually move to accept this and approve this report so that I can file it. Do we do that later, Peter, or is that
Just like right before we get to the consent agenda, I'll make a motion.
okay?
To
Okay.
Uh,
So, does anybody have any questions?
I was just going to comment, and I think I've raised this before, and we can discuss this as a commission or like one-on-one after this meeting sometime. But to my best of my understanding, I think according to DC code, if an ANC requests an office be provided, the DC's government is, I think, obliged to find one within our commission's boundaries free of charge for us to use. We could pursue that, and if we make it clear that we just basically need something the size of an envelope that we can receive mail to, or have a address, not even really receive mail as much as just have a fixed address we use, that might be something that would be of no cost to us.
That's a possibility. The one thing that I am concerned about getting something locally is I don't want us to have a conflict of interest come up. In other words, if we're dependent upon the bid, if I'm sure the bid would be more than happy to have us have their mail go to them, but I think that would be inappropriate.
Well, I think that the way the law is written, that the DC government was obliged to find a property that is DC government owned that we'd be.
Yeah, but I don't even know that. What I'm saying is, say we use the school. Say we use Marie Reed. I think there's still, or H.D. Cook. I mean, there still could be some conflicts of interest there, so I'm a little concerned about that one.
Probably worth discussing else. We have plenty of time to figure that out.
We have time. Yeah, I don't have to pay it again for 6 more months.
Commissioner Falskini, Secretary's report.
Thank you. Pretty simple report, and that's that we plan to have a regular meeting schedule in January or in 2024, which would keep the same pattern that we kept for the last few years, which is that we have our ANC meeting at 7 p.m. On the first Wednesday of the month. The EBC and Public Safety Committee meeting would be the second Wednesday at 7 p.m. The PZT, the Planning, Zoning, and Transportation Committee meeting would be the third Wednesday of every month, and the PSC, the Public Services and the Environment Committee, would be the fourth Wednesday of every month. All of these will continue to be online on Zoom and streamable live, and also where there is a fifth Wednesday in the month, which happens for months out of the year. That week we will not have any ANC meetings, and we will take that week off. So that's the schedule that we're planning for 2024. That means that the meeting schedule for January of 2024 would be the ANC full committee meeting is tonight, as we all know. Then the ABC and Public Safety Committee meeting will be on the 10th. On the 17th, we'll have the Planning, Zoning, and Transportation Committee meeting. And on the January 24th, we will have the PSE Committee meeting. Again, all at 7 p.m., again, all on Zoom. I will continue to email that meeting schedule out to the public neighborhood listserv. And we aim to get that out to everyone a week in advance of all of our meetings.
I will be the one to very much nitpick, and this is my fault, but just because we technically haven't voted on the schedule, that's a hypothetical to schedule, which later in the same meeting we will discuss. Everything that was in the resolution I put in says exactly what you're saying, but in the event that we modify something.
Yes. Good call. Sorry. Yes, that has not been voted on yet. My apologies. That is the planned schedule for the year and for the month.
All right. Thank you. Individual SMD updates, and if you chair a committee, that as well. Let's go the opposite way, I guess. So starting with Commissioner Michelson Horowitz.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Just a few updates. One, on the construction site at Oyster Adams, the Adams campus on 19th Street. I am relaying concerns about the construction site to my DCPS contacts. If you have any For example, the trash cans that are on the street, on the sidewalk, are placed inside the construction barrier, which means they cannot be accessed by folks walking dogs, and trash has begun to pile up outside of the fence. Lights on, other concerns about parking issues and signs and whatnot. Just keep them coming to me so I can pass them on. On the Universal Towers, that's the north and south large office conversion. I have been in touch with the developer, Post Brothers, out of Philadelphia, and awaiting word on when they're planning on starting. Last I heard, it was a financing issue, and they thought that they were still on track for the spring. And there will be a community meeting about the construction timeline and any closures, etc. So let me know if you have any questions there. And I've advocated for a full service grocery at that location. A lot of that depends on whether DDOT approves the number of curb entrances or curb cuts that are required for the number of deliveries at a grocery store. And I signed on to a letter that was circulated to commissioners, I think just yesterday, about special election procedures, and I wanted to encourage the other commissioners to sign on. It would request that special elections are the responsibility is transferred to the Board of Elections rather than the Office of ANCs, which of course the Board of Elections has much more experience running elections, and also more requirements to allow for same-day voter registration, to allow for absentee balloting. As I remember from my own special election this year, it felt like a very anti-democratic process, very closed to folks who were out of town or homebound or sick. Very short hours, and of course it was held outside of the ANC SMD because we could not get access to some of the city-owned facilities in the SMD. So all of those things could be resolved, and I hope you'll sign on to that letter as well. And I got a recommendation for a stoplight camera at the corner of 19th in California. A lot of folks are running that light or that stop sign. So if you have similar experiences, or if you want other changes to DDOT policies, let me know. I will share how to put in a traffic study request, and I can also put in my own. And that's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I just remembered Commissioner Dixon had messaged me saying that he might not be here later or might not make it at all. So I'll be next. Yeah, I don't actually know what I'm going to say. 1CO3 had a pretty busy year in a lot of ways. It's kind of quiet. I mean, the one thing that is standing out, which I think some of us have discussed in the commercial corridors, and it's not a secret, commercial turnover continues to be a bit higher than we'd hope. It's a part of an economy, but still a bit more than we would expect considering circumstances. We've tried to make some suggestions that would help with that. They did not go as anticipated, but we'll continue to do what we can with the little influence we have as commissioners and as 1C03 commissioner in specific. So that's the main thing that stands out. Other projects that are kind of outstanding, we'll wait till the weather's a little bit different to try to do more outdoor stuff, but clean up some things like that hopefully on the horizon. 1C04, Commissioner Van Wy.
No real updates from my commission. I will happily one up the letter that Commissioner Michaelson Horowitz mentioned. I was happy to sign that as well. If the rest of my fellow commissioners have not, I'm happy to make sure you see that. But otherwise, excited for a busy year and to get to work.
So Foxtrot is open, yay! Outside of that, it's all quiet in my SMD.
Fairly quiet in 1CO6 as well. I did notice on a walk today that DDOT seems to be going around to expect, I think, for tree plantings, and a couple new trees were planted on Lanier on the east of Ontario. So that's a great sign. Certainly, if you have issues with trees and other things, you should always report that. They can get on to a wait list to get trimmed in the future. I know the big tree in front of our building at 1705 got trimmed this summer, which was really helpful when it comes to big storms. And then the construction on Harvard Hall, it's getting near and near to completion. Most of the heavy trucks are off the main roads now, and a lot of it's just interior work that is happening. So that's a really exciting development, and I'm excited to have our new neighbors being able to enter that building sometime later this year. That's it for me.
Cool. Update from 1CO7, just locally. Folks probably heard that over the last month, the police closed out the triple homicide that happened up on Euclid. We're glad to have that case closed out. The folks that were arrested for that crime were not from were not living in the neighborhood. They were living outside of the neighborhood. They were from the neighborhood, but were not actually living here over the recent period of time. They're known affiliated with a gang up on Euclid Street. It was a confrontation that happened between two groups of individuals as one was leaving a bar over on 18th Street. They got into a conflict, and then shootout began, and the three folks, victims from Maryland, were all shot and killed. We're glad that those homicides were closed out. It's notable because there have been so many unclosed homicides from DC over the past year. So it's really great that these were able to be closed out. We were able to get some sort of resolution on them. Now the trial and all of that will, the legal proceedings, the criminal proceedings will begin for all of those. And if anyone hears any updates on those, they should feel free to share them. On some nicer notes, just lovely holiday spirit stuff happening up along 18th Street. Many congratulations to the bid for the decorations, for all the banners and the lights and all the stuff that went up this holiday to really make a wonderful holiday spirit up along 18th Street. And I know many of our shops have been very lively and open over the holidays. So congrats to the bids for really creating that strong sense of a business community along 18th. Also glad to have a couple of new businesses open over the last little bit. One of them, a cute little Italian restaurant, just opened up in my SMD in the old Spacey Cloud space on 18th Street, just north of Calorama. Go in and give it a try if you get a chance. And that's it for the SMD. For an update for the ABC and Public Safety Committee, we're planning again to have that. Hopefully we'll ratify this later in the agenda. We're planning to have that meeting next Wednesday at 7 p.m. We will have a public safety update from the local police precinct. And then after that, we will go into a new business license that have been placarded in the neighborhood over the past month. We've received 3 of them. One of them is for a cannabis license for Wash Hydro. It's a medical cannabis retailer license. And then we will have Firehouse DC, which is another medical cannabis retailer, which is a little bit outside of the district, but I think they're just giving us notification because it's very physically close. It's on 912 U Street Northwest, and so just a heads up to folks about that one. And then the last one that we'll invite to come and give a presentation is Zanzibar. And That's a Class C restaurant license with fairly normal requests for hours and operation and all of that. So those are the three that we will have up. Everyone is invited to attend and to share any thoughts and feels that they have about those potential licenses. And that's it for 1CO7 and the ABC and Public Safety Committee.
Hey, Jake, could we perhaps get somebody from however you say it now, to do a presentation on the cannabis licenses? I think that would be helpful.
That's a great idea. We yes, I will reach out to them and see if we can invite someone to come and speak about the regulations and rules around cannabis licensing in the city now.
Thank you.
Yep.
Commissioner Shapiro, it's yours.
I really don't have anything from 1CO8. It is, a lot of 1CO8 is vacant in the month of December. It's about the easiest way to describe it. So I don't have anything from there.
All right, thanks. Moving along, the public announcement section is now. So if you're here, please do your best to keep your comments relatively brief. 2 or 3 minutes is ideal. Some of you might take a bit longer. We'll do our best. If you're here to speak, please raise your hand. I know a couple people are here that had asked in advance. So, okay, yeah. So we'll start from the Mayor's Office of Commuter Relations. Drought Allen, welcome. Armoker.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Can everyone hear me?
You can.
How's everyone doing? Happy New Year to everyone. I have a couple of updates. I'm gonna try to get in and out of here. I'm gonna start with DPW, leaf and holiday greenery collection. The second pass for leaf collection in Section B in wards 1 through 8 will begin Monday, January 8th. Section B, leaves should be raked to the tree box or curbside by Sunday, January 7th, 2024. If your street has not been collected 8 business days after DPW has announced collection has started in the next section, please call 311, or you can visit 311.dc.gov to open a leaf collection missed service request. And we'll get out there and try to get that quickly. Holiday tree and greenery collection. 1 second. DPW services. Households can place. Sorry about that. Can place their trees and greenery in the tree boxes or curbside through March the 2nd. Trees not collected within 7 days of placing them to the curb, you can put in a 311 request for missed collection. DPW be sure to get out to get that tree. Do want to add that WMATA, the bus is excited to launch the 24/7 service across 14 routes throughout the city. Every 20 minutes or better, there will be buses throughout that 24/7 timeline. And those bus routes that affect the 1C area will be that S2 and that 92 bus line, the 92 going through 18th Street and that S on 16th Street. So just to keep that on you guys' radar. Last but not least, I want to add that the MLK parade will be coming up soon. Join Mayor Bowles and the community members from all 8 wards at the 45th annual MLK Day Parade and Peace Walk. This year, the theme is bending towards peace, truth, and justice. We hope you can join. Feel free to bring family, friends, and colleagues for this DC tradition. MLK Day Parade and Peace Walk will be on Monday, January the 15th. Be at the Rise Center, located 2730 Martin Luther King Jr. Ave Southeast. Lineup time will be 10 a.m. and the parade will start at 11 a.m. more information on that can be found at mlkholidayDC.org. And that is my updates. I can take any questions if anybody has any questions for me at this time.
Thanks so much. Commissioners, any questions?
The tree collection, that was till March 2nd, you said? That just seems like a very long time, but that's great. Okay. I guess if you really want your tree that long, but okay.
Yeah, I think they're essentially they don't want to force people to throw that tree out early. So I think that timeline
Okay.
is essentially
Got it.
giving people time
Okay.
to take their
Yeah.
last pictures and to, you know,
No, I
give you
appreciate
a
that.
amount of time to get those trees out. So
So I won't give neighbors the stink eye if I see a tree out there in mid-February. They're
yeah, I
totally
guess.
fine then. Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
You'll occasionally see trees out there in like June or July. It happens. I don't know why, but it happens. Commissioner Fauskini.
Jared, what was the time for the 1B or the B section second street cleaning? Oh, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Section B in wards 1 through 8 will begin January 8th.
So
but that
next Monday. So folks who really like sweep out onto the street this weekend,
yeah,
anything that they want cleaned up, right?
pretty much. Yep. Sweep
All
it
right.
off to that curbside or to them boxes, and DPW coming through with that new claw machine that they have, and they're just going to try to go essentially down each block and try to pick up those leaves as quickly as possible. So yeah, the more leaves you can push to the curbside, the better.
Okay.
Per DPW at this time.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
It looks like that's it. Thank you so much, Gerard. Good update. Have a good evening. Next up, I believe, is Kristen Barton from the Adams Morgan Partnership and Business Improvement District. Welcome, Kristen.
Hey, how's everyone?
Doing all right?
Sorry, it always takes a second to join as a panelist. Thank you so much for your kind words about our holiday decorations. So yeah, we had to dispose of the giant gift boxes that we had in the plaza for 3 years. They were great and were great for 3 years, but they were made out of plywood. They were crazy heavy and expensive to store and expensive to transport. And in that transport, they were getting damaged. So we had to make a decision, like, do we spend money to fix them up or do we do something new? So we decided to do something new. And I think the architects that we hired to design that and build that really knocked it out of the park. So it's holiday without like hitting you over the head, right? And the the theme of all I want is you, I think was a real hit. So thank you. We too we're really happy with it, with how it turned out. We're going to start to dismantle that this coming week. So if you see some folks out there working on it, it's probably because they're supposed to be, taking it apart. So but the cool thing about these trees is that they nestle inside each other. So for storage, it's like half the space that those giant gift boxes took up. So it ultimately is going to save us money in storage. And also the pole wraps and the flitters and all of that will come down this next week. So be on the lookout for the crew doing that. Yeah, I know some of you were at the unveiling event where we had some fake snow. I think this weekend we might get some real snow. We'll see. But we're getting prepared in the event that we do, because supposedly we are supposed to get more snow this winter, so we'll see. But our clean team will have ice melt and shovels and equipment to help clear the crosswalks, the bus stops. Those are their priority. And the Grinch event too, I think some of you came through for that a few weeks ago. That was another big hit. I want to hire that Grinch again. He was like so on message. He was really in character and super fun. So, I mean, he was doing like headstands and stuff. Like it was like really great. So, if only I was that flexible. But also want to remind people that Winter Restaurant Week is coming up. And I think it starts the 15th. And there's a whole bunch of Adams Morgan businesses that are participating. Perry's, the new Saibo, Code Red, Melly, Tiki in the Game, and there's one more that I can't remember. I thought I'd written them all down, but there's one more. Anyhow, take a look at the list on the RAMW website. There's some really great lunch and dinner deals during restaurant week. We're also gearing up for the Valentine's decorating contest that will start in early February. And we usually have an ANC commissioner who serves as a judge. So amongst all of you, if you can discuss it and get back to me about which one of you would like to be the judge of the Valentine's decorating contest, let me know. I think we're going to do the actual walk around to choose the winner on that Friday before Valentine's Day, which will be, I think, the 9th. Let me just confirm that. Yeah, Friday the 9th. And they'll people will meet up probably 3:30 before it gets dark and walk around for about an hour and a half and look at all the decorations. So let me know about that. And then we're also gearing up for date nights, which will be the month of February as well. And we're going to do a couple of things. You know, we've done the date night packages that you can sign up for to win, but we're going to do a couple of other special events, including a singles mixer, probably with DC Frey, and also a DIY Valentine's Day card making party. So stay tuned for more details on that. And then in March, the second Tuesday of the month, we'll have our annual meeting. And that will probably be at a breakfast at the new Venture X. And for those of you who haven't gone in there to check out the new co-working space, it's really great. So lots of different size spaces, rooms, amenities, and it's really a fabulous amenity in the middle of the neighborhood. So if you haven't checked it out, please do. So I think that's it from me. Happy to take any questions. I haven't been reading the chat, so if there's anything in there, let me know.
Thanks so much. I don't think there are any questions in the chat. It was mostly appreciation. So thank you.
Okay. All right, great. All right, thanks a lot.
Good evening. I'm not sure if he wants to speak, but Trevoris from Pepco, if you want to speak, this is the time. And if not, that's okay. Maybe not. That's okay. We'll move on. I think we have a more proper update from them next month. Anyway, so moving on. Before we get to our consent agenda, I will move to add approval of our Q1 2024 quarterly.
Peter, I think the rep's up.
Can you guys hear me? I'm sorry, I
Very-
just got permission. Can you guys hear me?
Perfect. Welcome. How are you doing, Traverse?
Doing pretty good. Happy New Year to everyone. Thank you so very much for giving me an opportunity to speak. Just wanted to provide a few updates to the ANC and community about our ongoing work in the Adams Morgan area. For many of you that know, we're actually doing construction along the 1700 block of Florida Avenue. This week, we will do temporary restoration this week, as well as the middle of next week as well. But we'll continue construction sometime on Wednesday throughout the rest of January. And then there will be a manhole installation that will occur at the 1700 block in February 23rd, the week of February 23rd. And then also there will be a 24/7 operation along the Ontario Road area sometime in the spring. And I hope to come before you in February to give you more detail on what the activity is, just so the community can be aware. And then also, I wanted to also share that Pepco did file a multi-year rate plan with the Public Service Commission, which calls for a increase on the monthly bill of about $6.13 over the next 3 years. And this is to help to support a lot of the construction projects that will increase the capacity of our grid, and make it more resilient, to have more solar, more all electric buildings that will come on the system, as well as EV charging stations as well. And I hope to provide more details around that at the ANC meeting as well. But did want to let you all know that we did propose that. And there is an opportunity to comment publicly on with the Public Service Commission, and looking forward to any comments that you have from the ANC on that as well. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks. And we can discuss this further, but I know that we've discussed before, and it's a minute point, but an important one. Has there been any energy spent towards looking towards getting artists for the new murals? I don't know if you mentioned that.
Yes, and we have not at this time, only because right now we're working to get the substation permits. We thank you also very much for your support on the conceptual design, and we're actually going through a mayor's agent process right now, and then that will occur throughout this year. We hope to have a contractor on board sometime in the fall of 2020 of this year. And then once we have that contractor, they'll start the actual construction. And then once the construction is near completion, that's when we'll start the mural process. So that will be, in a couple of years.
That's good. I just want to make sure it's on the radar. I know there's a lot of good muralists that are in Adams Morgan, so when the time comes, we can hopefully incorporate them. Commissioner Foskey.
Absolutely, and looking forward to your recommendations. And there also be a community advisory group for the substation construction, and I definitely would like to get any recommendations that the ANC has.
That sounds great. Thanks, Commissioner Foskey.
Thanks, Commissioner Wood. Trevores, thanks for the info. My only question is if you can drop in the chat a link to the request for fee increases, whatever publicly available information is. If you can just drop it in the chat, then everybody here will have access to look it up.
Okay, I most definitely will do that.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much, Trevores. Talk to you again next month.
No, thank you. Talk to you next month. Thank you so much.
And that concludes our public comments. I'll resume what I was saying. I'll make a motion to add to the consent agenda the Q1 2024 support for the Q1 2024 quarterly financial report. Can I get a second for that addition?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Benoit. All those in favor of the addition, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So we'll add that in. I will not type it this very second so we can move along, but imagine it's there. So we'll move on to our consent agenda, 3 items. That one, which is the quarterly financial report, December 20th, 23 meeting minutes, and the obligatory resolution that every year we have to pass, which is to spend $50 on the ANC Security Fund, which I'd be interested in lobbying for that to not be something we have to do the labor for, but that's another conversation. So that's our consent agenda. Can I get a second to support passing our consent agenda?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Shapiro. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes 7-0. Next regular agenda. Oh, thank you, Commissioner Foskey, for writing that. We had 2 items that came from committees in December. These, at least one of them would potentially be the type that could plausibly go into a future, or could have gone into the consent agenda for future reference, because it was not particularly, I don't want to say it wasn't interesting, but it wasn't particularly noteworthy to cause great discussion. The first is an application for a Class C restaurant license for, I believe it's My Son. I forget how it's pronounced. That will be on, I think that's in my SMD, 1834 Columbia Road. Commissioner Foskey, would you mind introducing this to us, please?
I'd be happy to. I wasn't actually just
Yeah,
for
that's fine. Yeah,
full
thank
disclosure,
you.
I wasn't at the ABC and Public Safety Committee meeting, but I'm happy to introduce it if you'd like me to.
I just don't remember. Do you recall if they are applying for a stipulated license or not? I just don't remember. Or Commissioner Shapiro, do you remember? I don't think they are. So we'll just, and it wasn't written down. Just want to clarify that. So yeah, it's a pretty standard restaurant that's looking for a little bit of live entertainment, but something that they're hoping to be, a single instrumentalists on very limited hours that won't be loud. This is something that we discussed a bit, Commissioner Shapiro and I, and Commissioner Laughlin at the past meeting. So in my SMD, I know that there's, especially in Columbia, been a number of spots that have been vacant for a while, or some that have been kind of going back and forth. So they seem like a good faith actor, best we can tell. So I'm in support of getting someone into this space and letting them know that the community wants to support them. So this came for committee, doesn't need a second. For discussion, I guess I'll move that we have this on the floor. Commissioner Faustini.
I just note that these are the operators, a couple of very successful, very good businesses here in Washington, D.C. that are known as good faith operators in other neighborhoods. So just wanted to kind of put that on the record that they've got a couple of other establishments that are very well known and have a great reputation in D.C.
Yeah, good point. Makes it a lot easier to judge how people operate if they've been operating. Although having first-time owners is also nice, just a little bit harder to read into. Any other questions, comments, commissioners, attendees? All right. All those in favor of offering your support for this application, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes unanimously, 7-0. Next is a sort of new type of application that we'll hopefully learn more about as we go forward for a cannabis dispensary that would also be in Columbia, but not in my SMD. This is Commissioner Laughlin, actually. If you want, you can introduce this. No pressure, but it's in your SMD. How do you feel?
Yeah, because it's technically, I guess it will be in my SMD. It's so it's already a store that's in operation, but they are applying for what I expect we'll see many more of these for a medical marijuana facility or business in operation. So they already had a set business record. The owner's already been in operation. And so they're just sort of trying to get ahead of the game and getting the support, and seem like they understand the rules of the business and are ready to sort of move forward with it. So sort of new territory for us as we learn more about medical marijuana and how it will be distributed and sold in the district, which is why I think it would be great for us to get a presentation from the various agencies. Because I think, I don't know what this will mean for businesses that don't move over to medical marijuana. I don't know if it's that they're the landlord or if the business will get fined, but some things are going to change in the next couple of years, definitely for this particular business. And then all the complications because we're not a state.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Long-winded, sorry.
No, that's good. I mean, I think that kind of in summary, that's the thing a lot of agencies and just the city at large will have to deal with, which is no one really knows the direction things are going, and there's a bunch of little fights going on along the way. So
yeah,
I think most people want to close the quote unquote gray market to make it a bit clearer, but it's a tricky process. Like I could go on far too long, and I won't, just about the pros and cons of over and under regulating certain types of products that are sold, particularly when they are consumed in the ways that cannabis is. But I mean, I kind of like to summarize the committee meeting. Basically, they seem like a pretty knowledgeable operator, and the representatives were pretty helpful in kind of describing the process pretty neutrally or objectively. And essentially, I think Commissioner Shapiro, you kind of had alluded to this last month in our meeting, which is the people who are jumping on board first or able to get these licenses first potentially have the most to gain, because there's limitations in place, I believe, and we'll learn more of this from ABCA, hopefully, of like the geographical dispersion of where these licenses can be located. So they're not going to be, I think, as clustered as, for example, liquor licenses. At least that was my understanding of what they described.
Yeah. I think it's a 300 feet radius. Yeah. So the first one in that gets the license, he basically gets a 300-foot radius. 300 feet, 100 yards. So for this one, it'll take it just, I believe, right to your building, Joe.
Pretty cool.
It's a big concern, as we can see from what's happened in H Street, where it is just they're just saturated, and I feel we're saturated now too. We haven't had I don't think we've had the negative impact that that it's had on H Street. But you walk down at midnight on Friday and Saturday nights, and you get high if you're not already high. But
We can
so
all
I'm concerned about saturation. So.
No, those are good thoughts. And that's something that's come up in the past. I think last year, Commissioner Fallon-Skeeny and I, because there's so many in our SMDs, actually spoke to a reporter that was writing an in-depth article about this. And like the experience across the city does vary in terms of how the immediate neighbors are kind of experiencing these types of shops, but not necessarily this type that's applying for this, but just cannabis gifters in general. And so, yeah, I mean, it's like I said, I think that there's a lot of support for getting the marketplace in DC in a better place to where there's more stability and also just quality control for the products, and also develop a safer, more kind of efficient, more prosperous, etc.
And my understanding based on the meeting and what the applicants explained is that the entire product is basically grown 10 to 2 within the district. So the plant needs to be grown in the district and then sold within the district. So it's all contained. But so I don't know where the growing happens, but it's, in a way, it is very much made in DC.
Well, it's not just that. When it's not illegal, I mean, there are dispensaries, there are existing medical dispensaries.
Yeah, there's one on U Street.
Cultivation centers. You know what you're buying.
Yeah.
At the gifting centers, you don't know what you're getting. And there have been instances where where something was treated. The other thing that it's a real concern at the gifting centers is, that they lack quality control of who's buying. I have seen high school kids walk into gifting centers and walk out and get high. I haven't seen it here in Admo. I saw it up in Tenleytown. So I think that, the other thing is it's not fair to the people that follow the rules. So I'm hoping that at 3, 4 weed shops in our neighborhood won't be bad, but there were 18 between, you go down a couple blocks between Swan up to 18th and over to 16th on Columbia. There were 18 at one point.
Yeah, and this is a related discussion to what we have, I think, for decades on this commission of how many liquor licenses is too many. I don't know what the magic number is, but at some point, I think we can agree that it gets too much. And part of it, I guess, gets resolved by just places going out of business, but the collateral damage is the thing that we try to mitigate, right? Commissioner Fallon-Skeeny, you took your hand down, but if you want to go, the floor is yours. All right, so yeah, any other questions, comments? Motion on the floor is to support this application. I believe we have another one coming through next month, so this could potentially be something we do more often, but like we were saying, at some point there will be limitations on how many people can apply because they'll all be taken. So who knows how long that'll last. No second needed. All those in favor of supporting this application, please say aye.
I
Aye.
And apparently Zoom also had its own thoughts and feelings.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes unanimously. Moving along, so that was it that came voted upon or supported from a committee. A couple of general business items. One, our schedule meeting for 2024. So I basically just put in a resolution like we did last year. The first Wednesday of every month, the exact same setup. First Wednesday of every month for a main meeting, subsequent 3 Wednesdays each month for committees. Nothing in August. We have the opportunity to not have meetings whenever we deem fit. We could add extra meetings, but it's usually not necessary. And we're only required to have 9 main ones. So we'll just leave it at that. But my question is, there are a couple potential conflicts with religious holidays. They're not federal holidays, but if anyone has any thoughts, just looking down the calendar, I believe one would be a Muslim and one would be a Jewish holiday later in the year. But I'm not necessarily certain if I'm overreading the kind of conflicts, because some of them, are 48 to week-long periods. Anyone have any thoughts or any objections?
When is Passover?
I think it's
It's the only-
I was thinking of.
I'd have to go grab my wall calendar, but
knowledgeable than me. And
that's
there's
that's the most.
I believe it starts on April 22nd, but let me just confirm that. Something that I search regularly.
Just check it. And Passover, it
It's-
starts late this year. It's on April 22nd.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was late too.
Yeah.
Which, just for folks looking at the calendar, that's a Monday, which means that Wednesday, the 24th would not conflict, nor would the last 2 days of Passover are also a holiday, the 29th and 30th, or at least it begins sundown on the 22nd, so it will be the days of the 23rd and 24th, but ending at sundown, so shouldn't conflict with this meeting, but let me check when
I was thinking
April.
Rosh Hashanah, which starts Wednesday, October 2nd. Anyone have thoughts? And there's another one too, which I don't think that, well, we always want to be inclusive, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I would strongly prefer to move the regular meeting that is on Wednesday, October 2nd.
Oh, yeah.
I won't be able to attend.
Neither would I.
Yeah, at least two.
That's exactly what
Right. Can I offer a suggested amendment? October happens to be one of the 4 months this year when we have 5
Oh,
Wednesdays.
yeah, we do.
So what if we just shift back the whole schedule in October and have our ANC meeting the second Wednesday and just shift it all back 1 week for the ANC meeting on the 9th, the ABC on the 16th, the ECT on the 23rd, and the PSE on the 30th?
It looks like Yom Kippur is October 9th.
No, it's a day later. It starts on the 11th, actually. Yeah, it starts on Friday the 11th. So that's fine. I was looking at another holiday that comes right after that, which is Sukkot, which does begin on Wednesday, October 16th. I would probably be able to attend this, the committee meeting.
Yeah, you're right. It is 11th. My calendar on the wall's wrong.
Oh yeah, I like the suggestion of accept amendment on the and I say this not seriously, half serious recommendation.
It
PSE
does
has
mean a
been
committee
optional.
meeting on the 30th. I guess that's not too bad. Okay. I thought it was to be the 31st for a moment, but it's not gonna be on Halloween.
And so I was just a very stupid joke, but if PSC dresses in costume on the 30th, let's do that.
Or PSC just moves their meeting to October 31st to the Lanier Street block party for Halloween, and that's our meeting. And the public's invited. They propose that.
Now I'll accept the amendment. I like the idea of just shifting everything a week for October. I mean, it's tricky with, I was going to mention that as well, trying to prevent conflicts for all of the committee meetings the whole year. It is difficult because that is 33 meetings. And,
Yeah.
I think the way to go about that, if anyone has thoughts, please share. But my idea is what we've done in the past. If a particular month comes up and it seems like it makes sense to switch or something, we can make those modifications kind of on the fly. Mostly the main monthly meetings, I think, was the opponent focus. So that sounds
Thank
good.
you for catching that.
Any other thoughts, questions? I think there's an
I would just note that Eid does fall on April 9th. That's a committee meeting, not an ANC meeting. I think a conflict on a committee meeting is fine. That's just going to happen given how many committees we have. But if it were to have fallen on an ANC meeting date, then I would suggest that we move it. But because it falls on a committee meeting date, I think it's fine to leave that conflict.
Yeah, I agree. And even still, like if we want to change future meeting dates for any meeting, we are still able to do so. But just to have a general feel, especially for people like Sean, who have, to plan their availability and things, I think that's fair to have a pretty good structure of what's going on. So yeah, with the one exception, exact same schedule as this year. Wednesdays, just shifting a month in October. Any other questions, comments? Anyone in attendance? All right, so I'll move to, I forget if I did this. I'll move to support passing this schedule for 2024. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Pasquini. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes unanimously. One more item tonight. Let me get back to the agenda. So the ANC 1Cs intern we got through, forget the exact name of the program, but the Office of ANCs helps match interested ANCs with interns. So we've had one, which I've been glad we've had, especially because Mary retired last year. So there was a bit of gap in services, but we had the contract set up to expire in December. I spoke with Angeles, I believe it was yesterday, this week, and she's interested in continuing. Her recommendation or her preference was to have a 6-month extension. She acquired an internship that is not ANC related in the summer, so she's not entirely sure once June, July comes around what her schedule will be like. But in the coming 6 months, focusing on minutes and the website, I'll get into the details on that in a second. She's open to that, same pay rate, same maybe adding a clause that she can go month to month, kind of like other contracts in the past, that when it expires, that would be my recommendation. So we can just have basically a replication of the language that's been in place, so that we can at least have her for 6 months with the same language that either the ANC or the intern can terminate the contract with 15 days notice. I think it is. I forget it's 14 or 15, 2 weeks-ish. Questions, comments, suggestions?
You've worked with her the most, I think. So if you're satisfied, I personally am satisfied. So it's on you, Peter.
I get it. That's good. And she sometimes spends time. She is from Ward 7, goes to school in Baltimore, spends a lot of time in DC regardless, and I think spends a bunch of time along U Street. I think her partner lives there or something. So if we have some sort of informal like gathering of some sort, she's interested in coming. So hopefully we can meet her in person at some point, because she's really nice and very competent and doing a good job. So yeah, that's my recommendation. I'll go into the details too. So the website, basically there's a fund. I'll have to double check that the money's still there. You never know how that works, but at least in theory, there's a fund that ANCs can request certain expenditures to be covered by, I think, the OANC. One of those could be like technical services, I think is the category, something like that, which included in that could be hiring a third party to, for example, update the website. Our website, anc1c.org, is currently hosted on, to the best of my knowledge, a bit antiquated platform for web hosting, and it's not very user-friendly. So if we can find someone, and Angeles also is a computer science student. She studies mathematics, but she does computer science programming things. So it's her area of expertise in a lot of ways. And she's interested in being, the person that spearheads this effort. We could hopefully get something that in the future is much more user-friendly. So, future iterations of commissioners, et cetera, would hopefully be able to just jump in and edit the website and update things monthly, as opposed to this current system, which was up until last year, dependent on Mary, who had a decade of experience doing that herself, and then trained me on a web call while I was watching the World Cup at a bar. So hopefully we can shift away from that. Happy to have done it so far. But basically, are you more user-friendly on the front end, or the user experience, I think is the term, making it so that when people get onto the website, that they have a better platform. And then on the back end, so we can update it more efficiently. Hopefully that will come. Can't guarantee it, because we do probably need money, and we can't guarantee the money will come through. But long-winded version of saying, hopefully we'll get a new website. And I think the intern is really well suited to cover that. All right. Anything else? I think I covered most of it. All right. I will move for this to support extending a 6 months extension to our intern, Angeles Sayavong Savan. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Spiro. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes unanimously. That's a wrap. We've got our first meeting of the year done already. Thanks everyone for coming. Have a great evening.